The Minister for Higher Education, Jesse Muyingo, has found a hard time convincing members of Parliament on the different issues that he tabled before Parliament in regard to the education system in Uganda. Honorable Jesse Muyingo, who was representing the Minister of Education, Honorable Janet Kataha Museveni, found a hard time after he had read a document that had no signature, implying that it is not authentic, causing the chairperson of the Government Assurance Committee to cast him out of the meeting, although he promised to give them another opportunity to outlay the issues concerning the Education Ministry.
Kindly go and clean your house, put your document right, and we shall write back to you. So allow me to adjourn this committee, and I request you, we shall write to you to invite you back, but you can prepare, authenticate the document, and note all the issues that have been raised that are in relation to what you have presented.
Captured each and every statement you have made. And as you've said, we are going back. Prepare for a comeback, as you have said. Yeah, I don't know, though, if you can allow me, I don't know. These are issues we have answers to. If you had allowed us, we would give these answers, Chair. But now that you have ruled, my hands are tied. The best that can happen is to wait to hear from you, as you have said.
Has a lot of issues that are not settled. And he has not responded to a number of issues that were required by him.
At the start of his presentation, Honorable Muyingo explained about the 52 billion shillings that were passed by the Parliament of Uganda to purchase materials that were to be used by students during the lockdown period, who included primary pupils and secondary students.
Through radio and TV broadcasts, as well as provision of printed self-study materials, the focus was on remedial work to consolidate the concepts learners had already covered before the closure of schools, in anticipation that education institutions would reopen after a short time. Audio and video lessons for both primary and secondary schools were developed and were broadcast on radio and television. For printed home study materials, we initially targeted 25% of the learners in upper primary and secondary schools from the most vulnerable households as identified by local governments due to budgetary constraints.
Actually, the truth is there are no study materials in rural areas and even in the urban areas. They are not there. What this ministry did was to print some few that were put at the districts. Now, when you look at the cost of 45 billion, this would mean that every child will be accessing a copy of at least something to read. Secondly, there is no way he could come here and fail to explain to us what is going to happen to girls who have been impregnated. They are not explained. Then when you talked about radios, teaching on radios, who are teaching there and who is paying them?
Last night, during the presidential address on COVID-19, the President of Uganda, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, opened higher institutions of learning, which are resuming at the beginning of November, and thereafter primary and secondary schools resume in January 2022. Concerning this, the minister presented the program and how it is to be followed.
We are making final preparations to ensure that universities and tertiary institutions open in a phased manner beginning 1st November 2021. Of course, when students aged 18 years and above have been vaccinated. We plan to implement a case-by-case reopening of institutions based on their capacity to observe the SOPs. Priority will be given to first-year students to create room for new entrants, given that previous focus was on final year students. The second priority will be given to study programs that have heavy practical and hands-on content. To ensure that the mass enrollment education levels of pre-primary, primary, secondary are ready for safe reopening as soon as possible, we are implementing a whole government strategy. The strategy is informed by the principle that the opening of schools must be safe, sustainable, and when rates of community transmission of COVID-19 are manageable.
This story has been compiled by Issa Chigongo for Channel 44 Prime News.